Second album of the day, serving it up Gary's way. Bing. Sorry,
Bean.
sorry to steal Sean's little didgeridoo, but we have S.O.S by SZA. It's 23 songs. Love that. An hour and 8 minutes long, and yeah, this is SZA's latest, possibly also last album on TDE. I actually honestly haven't checked the most recent things on that, but
I think
Kendrick
it's
is
her last OTT.
yeah, Kendrick is leaving Top Dog, SZA is leaving Top Dog, and potentially, and we, I don't think the label drama is very relevant to even talk about in much of this like album review sort of thing, but rather the fact is that like SZA has had a little bit of label drama, and she's had a lot of personal drama, and
Mhm.
she's also has not released a lot since her Control release in 2017, I want to say. And so we've been really eager to hear some stuff from her. We are glad to hear some stuff from her. And damn, is this some stuff from her, all right? This is a very enticing record with a lot of ideas. Some of them hit, some of them don't. I think that's kind of just like the nature of the game when
Mhm.
you're releasing an album in 2022 slash yeah, definitely 2022, sorry. That is, over an hour long slash over even 45 or 50 minutes long. But I think that all of it plays through very well. I think it serves its purpose. As long as you were expecting some of the twists. Now, there are artists, I'll say, like, I appreciate most of the features on here. 3 out of 4, I'd say, are hits. Travis Scott, Phoebe Bridgers, Don Toliver, and Old Dirty Bastard. Which of these artists is not like the other? Yeah, so I'll definitely say that I have some comments on the 23rd song at the end featuring the late ODB, the very late, great, body frozen ODB. But
Ted Williams asked ODB.
Christ, man. Yo, okay, Sean, what are your thoughts?
Hey, that's a line, baby.
Woo! Oh!
I like S.O.S. It took me a while because the one complaint I will have, it doesn't need to be 23 songs. 23 is a great number, perfect number. No problem with 23. It's an absolute beautiful number.
You're goddamn right.
We both enjoyed 23. But it's a lot of songs. It feels a little bloated, especially when you get towards the end of the record, but there's a lot of good in here. Kill Bill, second song, I think is fantastic. I really, really like her vocals throughout the entire record. I think it's her most mature sounding. I think it's her best production sound, a lot of different ideas, a lot of modern twists with what she does. Like with Kill Bill, it almost has like a 50s, 60s style sound to it, but with electronics and stuff and some neo pop twists with it that I really like. So a lot of different motifs and themes that I think she now is really at the top of her game. Again, the only issue I have is just it's going to take you a long time to really sift through everything because it is a very long record. Features are great. I think Phoebe Bridgers, Don Toliver, Travis Scott are good. I'm really coming around with Travis Scott as a feature. The more and more projects he does with other people and the more he broadens out, I think he gets better. But that's me kind of jumping ahead to the record. Middle of the record, you have Love Language, Blind, used with Don Toliver that I think are very good. I like how it's paced where it doesn't.
I'll say really fast. I'll say used with Don Toliver was solid. I am a little bit of a Don Toliver head, to be fair.
Yeah, I know you do like Don Toliver, and I'm not particularly big Don Toliver fan.
So like he's on the Travis Scott, Cactus Jack kind of like side of things. So like he has that style.
Yeah.
There's that little bit like that auto-tune crooner kind of thing he's got going on. But I honestly really think the implementation of the album was really like, I mean, like the real implementation of the record, rather, that he did on there was really good, especially because I don't think it was too overstated. I don't
No,
think he was like, because he was featuring on another artist's record, he didn't get the moments to like do too much auto tune, do too much flair. And we've talked about that very often about how like different artists will pair each other back. And because they like, are
they're paired back.
50-50 instead of 75-25 or one or like 90-10 as far as like how much of themselves they're doing or like their worst inclinations that they're falling into, you really get artists who are or you really get songs that are works of art.
Yeah, and I think that's something that even with the Travis Scott feature too is another thing where when some of these people who I might not necessarily enjoy their solo work, enjoy their normal records, then when they get to go with other people, especially different genres, and kind of cross those bridges, they are paired very well. And Don Toliver is
The
one of them. I
Phoebe
thought he was
Bridges.
fantastic. But the thing too with the record that I like is the pacing is very good. For a record that is a little bit slower, it is paced where it does not get boring whatsoever. Even though it is a long record, it's not like you'll get tired or you'll get like a snooze through it. It picks up, it has lots of different sounds, and it keeps you guessing as what the next track is going to be. Like example, "Smoking on My X Pack." Fucking love
Yeah.
that track. Goes hard. Like the beat, everything of that. It just when you're going through the record after Gone Girl and you get to the middle of that, it's like, ooh, this hits. And it's again, I think is really SZA at her best.
And like right after that, you're really getting into like what I really think is the meat and potatoes of this record, which
Yep.
is where she takes this like really modern, at least modern in the terms of like 2022, 2020 to 2022 indie rock, right? Where like it's having callbacks to grunge, but it's really
Yep.
inspired by that. Like this is SZA going really at some of her furthest stuff that I've seen her do
Absolutely.
ever, really. Like this is experimental as hell. Especially F2F, which is like, fuck to forget, especially as you can like kind of like interpret as. Like it's not really again, R&B song, but it would
No,
get labeled as R&B traditionally because of the way the music genre works, like the way the music world
it's
works,
not
that like,
indie.
oh, this is a black woman who made a song and it's not rap, sort of. Like again, like these genres kind of don't make sense, but like neopop, this sort of like it's soulful, it's got again this grungy indie sound that's calling back to like what a lot of music is right now, but the
She
topics
just
of the topics at the end of the day, it's like fuck to forget, like that is blues, that is soul, that is funk, like that is the essence of a lot of music, even pop music, right? That's why we call it neo pop. It has all of these essences in one, and I think that's a great example of like SZA is getting to a level where she is uncategorizable. And those are my favorite kind of
absolutely.
artists, honestly.
Because you know what I wanted to kind of talk about with Ghost in the Machine? It reminds me a lot of early Bjork with that track. The way it's very experimental, but still modern and still fits in this decade, but pushing that boundary just that limit. And that's right before Fuck to Forget too, which is a completely like 180 on the sound where it just goes into that grunge indie sound that is very popular now. That like little flip, that's why I really enjoyed the record, because again, you're you're going to guess at every single track that you're listening to. The way it plays through, it's just she's experimenting, she's broadening her horizons, trying to do as many sounds as you can, but it's cohesive, and that is a very difficult thing to do, especially with such a broad range of genres. um and overall, as like a project, I think it's really, really good. SZA is somebody who, like with Control in 2017, I thought that record was okay, but it wasn't necessarily my favorite. With it, with S.O.S, this is fantastic. It's a very, very good record. I'm impressed. I want her to keep this experimentation up and really, you know, keep broadening those horizons, keep getting out with artists that you're bridging those gaps. You're bridging, from indie, you're bridging from electronic, you're bridging from trap, from SoundCloud rap, from all of these different genres and stuff to get as many ideas as you can, because this is what makes a good record. When we have to guess and we can't say for certain, like, oh, what genre is SOS? I'm like, it's several. It's not just one. It's like, that's where it's like this, the audio face that we like. And it's very, very good. The only thing, other than it being pretty long, well, two things with that. One, I don't even necessarily think like there's skips or anything in the record. It doesn't feel like that. There isn't songs like I might take out. It's just a long record. That's it. But Forgiveless with Old Dirty Bastard might be the only track where I'm like, you could do without, because his features.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. It like every time I listen to it, I'm like, we're
like
really scraping the bottom of the barrel of the discography, because of course, Old Dirty Bastard, we've got our qualms about posthumous music, and I'm not even going to get into all of them here. You're going to have to check out more Audioface episodes, either in the podcast or the YouTube or the TikTok or wherever we're doing any of those things. And
goddamn TikTok.
You're going to have to understand that, like, there is a lack of life. There is a lack of flow that comes from these posthumous records that is disrespectful, because it's the direct opposite of how all of these rappers flowed. Like, Old Dirty Bastard was like, it's hard to say he was the MF Doom of his time, because MF Doom was the MF Doom of the same time. But like, Old Dirty Bastard embodied the, like, I'm a villain. I'm going to say like the raunchy shit because see above, right? Like, he is the reason Tyler the Creator even has the chance to exist, let alone do like the down low thing that he did for a little while and then like ultimately come out to do all of that, right? Like, he was a pioneer for the raunchiest rap music possible. I mean, the fact that City Girls can say all of that shit that sometimes makes like us go like, hey, whoa a sec, like, right? But it challenges us as like men rap listeners to be like, okay, if we are okay with like women describing this stuff or like not okay with it, then how does that challenge how we listen to men describing similar situations, right? Like, so this is all important shit. And that's not to say that like this is the one person that is like the skeleton key to all of that, but he is an excellent way to understand why, rap music is allowed to be as raw, as genuine as you see it. One of the many ways you're allowed to see it, right? And so to get this sort of like half-assed version sort of seems like you're not honoring that legacy. Like, I think of the way Cheat Codes, the Black Thought and Danger Mouse record last year, did Belize, which featured MF Doom, which, technically was using a track that was made from like 20 years ago that MF Doom was totally able to, like, he was like pretty well aware and like cognizant and able to like, be a musician and make that song with. But it's still a posthumous release, but yet the entire song felt, and even down to the music video, it felt, raw and respectful of who the artist himself was, while also recognizing that he's gone. Like, also recognizing that this is a post era, not a pre or a during era, right? And so that you don't get from this record, unfortunately. And it's definitely a lost opportunity.
Yeah. Overall, though, good record. And that's really the only stain I would put on this. Also, Mochi literally completely bonsai charged open my door right now, where she just slams it wide open and she demands attention. And I was like, okay, there's Cat.
So I was noticing that during some of the edits.
That was hilarious, because I just hear the door just go swing, and then I hear these little footsteps run up to my legs. I'm like, it's Cat.
No, it's one of those Kia moments.
Absolutely.
So arbitrary scale, as we do arbitrary scales every week at Audioface, because our review is our review. This week it's going to be Right Wingers who are worth less than $50 million. And this time it's going to be.
Mine's a Michael Knowles.
I'm going to go a little bit out of the Daily Wire cinematic universe and say that this is a Glenn Beck. You know, he keeps delivering. He's been delivering over time as SZA has been. You know, there's some industry tomfoolery. There's some like business tomfoolery that's been going around there. But at the end of the day, it's been a really solid run. And you know what? I think it's going to continue to be because, like Glenn Beck and SZA are similar in these ways, and you're never going to get this analysis on any other music podcast ever. Sean saying all of his prayers right now, and trying to find Carl's number on his phone. Both of them know how to stretch their longevity and still keep it interesting. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.